May 22nd, 2019 board meeting to order. First on the agenda will be the pledge. Tonight will be led by our Girl Scouts. You all come up front. Thank you, ladies. Please join the board in a moment of silence. Okay, thank you. All right, tonight we'd like to welcome the members of the Wilson County Board of Education, Larry Tomlinson, Linda Armstead, Bill Robinson. Thank y'all for being here. Okay, let's approval of the agenda.
So moved, Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Young. Second. Mr. Hodge, thank you. All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion carries. Approval of consent agenda.
I'll move, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Jordan. Have a second.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Moore. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Visitors. Tonight we have two visitors wishing to speak to us. Dawn Rhodes. You'll come up to the podium, state your name, address, who you're with, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Sure. My name is Dawn Rhodes. My address is 2207 Burr Court, Murfreesboro, Tennessee. I'm the regional executive for the Girl Scouts of Middle Tennessee. All right, wonderful. So just to kind of give you a little bit of brief history for those of you that don't know what Girl Scouting is about, we're a supplemental educational program that is offered in 39 counties here in Middle Tennessee. I'm in charge of the Rutherford County. Our program runs from kindergarten to 12th grade. Our organization is a nonprofit organization that's been around for over 100 years. We prepare girls for the future and educating them in areas of STEAM, life skills, outdoor adventure, and entrepreneurship. We have tons of opportunities for the girls outdoors, camping. We have a day camp and 2 day camps in Rutherford County, one in Smyrna and Laverne, and one here in Rutherford County. We have over 166 troops in Rutherford County. 71 of those 166 troops meet at the Rutherford County school systems, are in the schools. So 71 of those troops meet at either in the school cafeterias, in a classroom, in the library, through the Rutherford County school system. We have 1,600 girls registered through Girl Scouts, 673 adults. 46 bronze awards were earned this year, 25 silver awards, and 6 gold award members here in Rutherford County. They have put in hours and hours of community service throughout Rutherford County, beautification of school grounds. They have earned their bronze and silver awards through some of the schools that they are hosted at. So tonight we're going to discuss the issue of the use facilities fee. Our girls sell cookies in order to fund their troop. They get 55 cents a box per box that they sell. In order for the girls to meet at the school per week, right, it's going to be $18 per week. That's over $1,000 a year for a Girl Scout troop to meet. at the Rutherford County school system. And for those that are going to be new coming into our program, they start out with zero money and depend on the parents to help fund that troop. We do have a lot of financial aid girls. As you can imagine, a lot of our girls do meet at Title I schools, so it's really hard for the parents to be able to afford extra. Our membership fee is subsidized. The national membership fee is $25. We do subsidize $10 of that to keep the cost of our program low, and we also pay for our leaders to be trained and to actually be a part of the program. So we do put in a lot of money through our council in order to fund, although our troops are the ones that are going to be on the boots, I guess, or on the ground here, working in the county to provide the programming to the girls. And our troop leaders are a huge percentage of our troop leaders are single mothers. Some of them are not able to afford out of their pocket that youth facility fee.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Mr. Philip Hannikin. Okay. Thank you. Name, address, who you represent, and 3 minutes.
Philip Heikkinen. My address is 182 Little Turtle Way here in Murfreesboro, and I represent the Middle Tennessee Council of Boy Scouts of America. I wanted to start off by thanking you guys for letting me come and talk to you about our Boy Scouting program here. I wanted to tell you some highlights that we have for our Boy Scouts here in the area. We have 2,145 youth that meet here in the Murfreesboro area, 600 adult leaders, and our program, they receive citizenship training, leadership development, and outdoor skills through our training. We have 59 units total in the Rutherford County area. That includes Cub Scout packs, Boy Scout troops, venturing crews, and exploring posts, which are career-based to help kids figure out if they would like to go into a certain career field. We had 41 Eagle Scouts this past year, which is a huge number. And in that 5,271 hours of service in the community back to our community that they've had to do for their Eagle projects. Let's see here. Now, when it comes to the cost, I know the cost was going to be $18 an hour basically for to meet at the schools, and I kind of did a little math on that. An average meeting is going to be about an hour and a half, so we're talking about $27 a meeting. And if a unit has 30 meetings per school year, that's $810 for just a single unit to pay out of their pocket for a year. We also have, in some cases, where a unit will have multiple youth or multiple dens inside that pack or unit that meet at the school multiple times in a week, and that could get up to, I think somebody quoted me at $3,000 that they'd have to pay out of pocket. A lot of the fundraising we do for the boys goes towards their camping fees. And I will say, and I talked to Fant over here about it, some of the Eagle projects that we've done and the community service projects we've done go back to benefit the schools. So when they do an Eagle project, it has to not only benefit just, it doesn't help an individual, it helps out the community at whole when we do an Eagle project like that. So also this fall, what we do in the fall, we try to hit every elementary school and every middle school and every high school that we can to try to get as much, the best, hit every youth basically that would be interested in the program. So with 49 schools here in Rutherford County, you can imagine $27 per school, that would be $1,323 a year that we would pay just to get into the schools to see if somebody would be interested in the scouting program. But wanted to kind of throw those numbers out there for you guys. I appreciate you guys taking the time to listen to me, and I hope that we can have something happen with this. Thank you.
Mr. Heikkinen, I just want to follow up on that. You're absolutely correct on giving back to the school, because we had an Eagle Scout at Oakland High School that planted a huge bunch of trees that he went out and secured. So we do appreciate that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We thank you guys very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay. Next, we'll have report on Director of Schools evaluation. Mr. Randall Bennett from Tennessee School Board Association.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At your desk, you should find a blue folder with embossed TSBA on the front. I think everybody does have one, correct? All right. We had full participation with the board. Everybody got the evaluation into us, and we sent those to our communications person, and she did a tally. And if you'll look on the first page, not the title page, but the first page, you will see a summary of the overall results. Now, as you can see from the top, the small box at the top there, it breaks it down by each of the 6 categories that you all evaluate as a board. We've got board relationships, community relationships, staff and personnel relationships, facilities and finance, vision, and student achievement. I would note that both community relationships and student achievement tied for the highest evaluation scores, and that was 3.77 on a scale of 5. And as you know, that scale is very similar to what the teacher evaluations are. Number 3 is meeting at expectations, 4 is above, and 5 is significantly above, where 2 is below and 1 is significantly below expectations. So there's that 5-point scale. And as you can see, Mr. Spurlock scored in the mid-3s and above on all of the categories. And as I said, we've got a 3.67 overall evaluation for the last school year. Additionally, at the back, your comments were included as written. And even if there was a typo, we didn't correct your typo because we don't want to make any changes to what you have to say. So I don't think I saw any typos, but you never know, they're hard to see. But anyway, if you'll look there, you can see all of the comments were included there. There's a couple of 3 pages as far as board members wanting to distinguish certain things that they might have done or felt about the situation. But I think overall, it's a good first evaluation. It's definitely meeting expectations and above. And if there's any questions you might have about that, I'll be more than happy to try to answer them. About the process, anyway.
Any questions from Mr. Bennett? Looks like you were home free there.
Well, thank you very much, and I hope you have a good meeting. And hello again to Wilson County. I'm glad you guys are here tonight.
We would like to thank you for your service to TSBA. We know you're retiring, is it next month?
Next month, the end of next month, yeah.
You know, we've always appreciated having a Rutherford County person on the TSBA. Do a fine job down there.
Well, thank you. It's been one of the most enjoyable places I've ever worked in my life. And I've enjoyed what I've done, and I will definitely miss it, but I will not miss it driving on 24 every day. That has cost me most of my sanity, so hopefully I'll gain.
Enjoy your retirement and stay off 24.
I will do that. Thank you very much. You have a good evening.
Thank you. Okay. Recognition.
Number 9, recognition, the Richard Siegel Foundation and Murfreesboro Symphony Orchestra Excellence in Music Award, Andrea Norberg. It's good to have you here tonight.
It is my pleasure to be here from the Murfreesboro Symphony Orchestra. We will be going back to our original name this next year of the Tennessee Philharmonic Orchestra. So next year when I come to present these names, you'll see it as the Richard Siegel Foundation. Today it's the Richard Siegel Foundation Murfreesboro Symphony Orchestra Music and Excellence Award. It is a mouthful, and I am so proud to present these students to you. It goes to students who have excellence in music, and the teachers pick the student out, and they must also have good citizenship. So not only being, excellent in performing their instrument, but also in the class and in the community. So we're very proud to present these. I was given a suggestion that next year to invite the students so they could have a picture taken with y'all, and so that's a wonderful idea. So we're going in steps, but if you will allow me, I will go through and read the students' names so we can give them credit. We are so proud of these young people. Anna Estes, Black Fox. Jada Jennings, Black Fox, Alexandra Barajas, Bradley Academy, Manny Creek, Bradley Academy, Laura Lee Smith, Cason Lane Academy, Elizabeth Savangsa, Cason Lane Academy, Jaden Poe, Central Magnet School, Anna Robertson, Central Magnet School, Alex Norwood, Central Magnet School, Caleb Charles, Central Magnet School, Isabella Reich, Central Magnet School, Caroline Vermolm, Central Magnet School, Quinn Shibayama, Discovery School, Olivia Castor of Discovery School, Annalyn Trail, Eagleville School, Ruby Parrish, Eagleville School, Penny Ray, Eagleville School, Riley Bell, Eagleville School, Lyric Metzler of Eagleville School, Mackenzie Fiesel, Eagleville School, Micaiah Martin of Eagleville School, Alan Braswell, Irma Siegel Elementary, Zariah Porter, Irma Siegel Elementary, Maya Mathis, Hobgood Elementary, Kyra Hall, Hobgood Elementary, Runaya White, John Pittard Elementary, Alexandria Johnson, John Pittard Elementary, Isabella Fortesque, Laverne Middle School, Humberto Sanchez, Laverne Middle School, Alexa Bean, Laverne Middle School, Bernadette Rene, Laverne Middle School, Maria Costello Peralta, Laverne Middle School, Noah Jett, Mitchell Nilsson, Aubrielle Smotherman, Mitchell Nilsson, Shaylin Wright, Northfield Elementary, Brianna Guthrie, Northfield Elementary, Josiah Anderson, Oakland High School, Gracie Thomas, Oakland High School, Audrey Wakefield of Oakland High School, Melody Kinney, Oakland High School, Vance Hutchings, Oakland Middle, Tyler DuBoard, Oakland Middle, Elijah Pedigo, Oakland Middle, Lawson Wheeler, Overall Creek Elementary, Hayden Jenkins, Overall Creek Elementary, Daya Raymond, Reeves Rogers Elementary, Matthew Johnson of Riverdale High School, Sarah Liu, Rock Springs Middle, Erilyn Robinson, Rock Springs Middle, Kaylin Lee, Rock Springs Middle, Chelsea Rife, Siegel Middle School, Levi Tothforgany, Siegel Middle School, Roman Tillis, Siegel Middle School, Haley Johnson of Siegel Middle School, Alexa Alchan, Smyrna High School, Aisha Kara Mustafik, Smyrna High School, Tayo Bukam, Smyrna High School, Raylan Dennis, Smyrna High School, Yenny Ronson, Smyrna Middle School, Isabel Cox, Smyrna Middle School, Cody Wade, Smyrna Middle School, Zach Tucker, Stewart's Creek Middle, Grace McMurtry, Stewart's Creek Middle, Aiden Thornhill, Stewart's Creek Middle, Madden Whitaker, Stewart's Creek Middle, Katie Ledford, Stewart's Creek Middle, Jacob Capistrant, Stewart's Creek Middle, Ashley Sanford, Thurman Francis Arts Academy, Savannah Johnson, Thurman Francis Arts Academy, and Talon Mansili, Thurman Francis Arts Academy. This is 6th grade to 12th grade, and each band and choir teacher can nominate one person from each grade from their school. And we are so proud of the teachers who took the time to nominate these students. They're worthy of reading before your sweet board. Thank you.
We thank you.
Okay, Rutherford County School proposed calendar.
Okay, Rutherford County School proposed calendar for the 2020-2021 school year. You can find it on tab 2. We start on August the 3rd of 2020. That's the administrative discretionary day, and May the 26th is the last day. It's an abbreviated day, 2021. Motion to approve the proposed calendar for the 2020-21 school year as presented.
Thank you. Young, second.
Second.
Sharp, thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Facilities?
All right, facilities use approved for exemption pursuant to Board Policy 3.206, public education schools and institutions, post-secondary education institutions, private universities and colleges, governmental entities, or agencies that provide benefits to the Rutherford County school system or have an in-kind relationship approved by the Director of Schools may request the Board of Education to allow an exemption for the use of facilities which the board may allow or deny based upon the details of specific requests. The following groups qualify for the exemption: Feed Kits for America, that'll be at Rock Springs Elementary School, Christiana Elementary School, Barfield, and McFadden area. Motion to approve the following group requesting fee waivers for the use of facilities pursuant to policy 3.206.
Motion to approve.
Move to approve.
Thank you. Second? Ms. Sharp? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Financial matter.
Hey, financial matters, there are no updates?
No updates.
Okay.
Memorandum of Understanding with professional educators.
Yeah, the memorandum of understanding for professional educators found on tab 3. The Board of Education Management Team and the professional educators of Rutherford County, represented by the Rutherford County Education Association, in a collaborative process, have reached an agreement as presented in the memorandum of understanding. Motion to approve the memorandum of understanding between the Rutherford County Board of Education and the professional educators of Rutherford County Schools as presented.
Motion? Dodge, second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, facilities, Stewart Creek.
Yeah, Facilities tab 4, Stewart's Creek High, Principal Dr. Clark Harrell has 3 requests at this time. The first request is to convert an athletic training room on the athletic hallway into an additional co-ed weight training and conditioning class. The second is to remove the lockers on the band hallway and replace them with band instrument storage lockers. The third is to purchase a 12 by 28 storage building for band equipment and place it near the school apartment. All projects are being funded through the school or a booster club at no cost to the school board. Engineering and construction has reviewed the projects and recommend they be approved. Motion to approve the Stewart's Creek High School be allowed to install the appropriate flooring for the new weight room, remove existing lockers, and install instrument storage lockers on the band hallway and purchase a storage building to be located near the school apartment as presented.
Need a motion?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Jordan, second. Ms. Sharp, thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, number 15 is our policies to look over. So we'll move right on that one. To policy committee recommendations.
Okay. All right, policy committee recommendations found on tab 6. We went over these on Tuesday, but policy 1.407, school district records. This is a matter of changing the name from our staff attorney from former Lauren Bush to Sarah Page. Policy 1.803, tobacco and vape-free schools. We went over that about not allowing these on our grounds, and possession of either tobacco or vape products will be disciplined. Policy 4.502, parent and family involvement. This is to replace the language of no child left behind with the reference of the Elementary and Secondary School Education Act. Policy 4.602, the grade point average GPA in class rank 9 through 12. This would be reflect the weighted grading for dual enrollment, dual credit classes. Cambridge courses were also added to the weighted graded chart. Additionally, a conversion chart was added that reflects expect conversions when dual enrollment program issues only a numerical grade. The standard for valedictorian and salutatorian has been amended to allow the highest achieved ACT composite to be considered when multiple students meet other requirements for those titles beginning for the graduating class of 2023. The deadline for valedictorian and salutatorian has been clarified to be the end of the 7th semester. Outdated references to 2009 and 2010 and 2014, 2015 have been removed. Policy 4.603, promotion and retention, has been extensively rewritten to reflect the language or the changes to the State Board of Education Policy 3.300. Policy 6.200, attendance, has been updated to reduce the number of parent-produced excused notes for illness from 10 to 8. Policy 6.313, discipline procedures in response to Tennessee Department of Ed of disproportionality. We reviewed policy 6.3 and has been updated to add introductory language to encourage administrators to choose educational discipline that seeks to stop repeated behaviors while limiting exclusionary discipline. Mediation has been added to disciplinary options and corporal punishment has been removed. Under level 4 behaviors, this type of the type of a death threat has been clarified to distinguish it from an electronic threat, which is zero tolerance by law. Additionally, sexual misconduct not resulting in a charge classified as a zero tolerance has been added to the example list. Bomb threat was moved from the level 4 offense to a zero tolerance to align with current policy. Clarification has also been added where when charges are sufficient for discipline has been added. Corporal punishment 6.314 in response to request to review disciplinary procedures in light of the Tennessee Department of Ed's disproportionality review. The policy has been updated to bar the use of corporal punishment in Rutherford County schools. Policy 6.316 suspension, expulsion, and remand has been updated to better reflect the grounds for disciplining students for off-campus criminal behavior, to update a typographical error related to the use of in school where out of school should have been appeared, and remove the reference to the language seeming to state a parent may request a disciplinary hearing be open to the public. Number 10, policy 6.317, student disciplinary hearing authority, has been updated to clarify the hearings that the DHA be closed to the public and to explain the role of the attorney who may be attending the DHA. Additionally, the ability to request an appeal to the board that is open to the public was clarified. Number 11, policy 6.409, child abuse and neglect, has been updated to a complete sentence that was left incomplete. Number 12, policy 4.806, course access program, is proposed in order to comply with the new Tennessee State Board of Education rules. Motion to approve policies 1.407, 1.803, 4.502, 4.602, 4.603, 6.200, 6.313, 6.314, 6.316, 6.317, 6.409, and 4.806 as recommended by the Policy Committee on first reading.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Jordan. Second?
I'd like to make an amendment. I'd like to make an amendment to this motion.
Okay. Couldn't hear you, Ms. Shaw.
I'd like to make an amendment to this motion. I would like to approve all except the 4602 and table it for further discussion. That's the ACT, the grade.
Number 4. What would you like to amend?
Table the 4602 for further discussion, but approve the rest of them.
Okay, table it. Have a second?
Second.
All those in favor of tabling policy 4.602, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No.
No.
Motion fails. Okay, we have a motion and a second on the floor. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries. Insurance update.
Mr. Chairman, point of order for discussion on these.
Well, we already passed it. Could you wait till general discussion? Dr. Anthony, do you have anything?
Meeting tomorrow at 1 o'clock. Our discussion will be on the property and casualty coverage.
Thank you. Director's update?
Yeah, I appreciate the evaluation. It's good information. I'm one that I have a growth mindset and want to improve. Anything that I do is for the betterment of our system and our students. I have no individual agenda of myself, and I appreciate all the hard work of our staff here at the central office, our teachers, everyone involved with the school system, and I'm very excited about next year already.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I'd like to go back to Dr. Anthony with the insurance update because I had a question for her. Yes, ma'am. Dr. Anthony, I know you mentioned this the other night in the work session, that property and casualty is going to be the primary focus of the meeting tomorrow. Do you anticipate anything at all coming up as far as the health care, medical insurance, or rates or anything at all?
They have not mentioned that to be on the agenda. I just got the agenda Monday, so unless they amended, nothing.
Okay. There's nothing on the agenda either about the county commissioners and the approval of the insurance?
No, ma'am.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Ms. Johnson, Tennessee Legislative Network.
Yes, right now, they're working through, the House is working through the replacement of the Speaker. We're kind of in limbo at this point. He says he will resign, but I think until this blows over or we're out of this season, it's going to occupy our conversation. So we hope that they'll make some resolution soon, but I understand the first part of June is when he will resign, but that's very loose.
Thank you.
Can I ask you a question? And you may not know, the voucher bill has not made it to the governor's desk. Where does it stand?
That's a very good question. I'm not certain. As far as I know, it passed, and they normally, it's normally June, July before they're signed by the governor, but I haven't heard anything that there's any holdup there.
Mr. Hodge, Federal. All right, general discussion.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. First of all, I do want to talk about the valedictorian policy and the policy that Ms. Sharp attempted to amend. I had thought in the past that we normally approve policies individually, maybe not as opposed to being grouped together. But I still have a lot of concerns about this policy, and I want to share and express them this evening. I was very concerned in our policy committee meeting that no one really seem to share or harbor any of the same questions that I have, because to me there are still a lot of lingering questions over why we adjusted the policy the way we did, why we did it to begin with. So I've left all of you a packet, but I think for the sake of the audience and the public that's watching, because I know this has been a pretty hot topic of conversation out in the community, I'd like to read to all of you an email or a letter that I got from one of our seniors that just graduated from Central Magnet, who is also one of the 55 valedictorians that graduated from there. He said, "Dear Mrs. Moore, I am a newly graduated valedictorian from Central Magnet, and I have followed the talks about a new policy since I read an article about it on Twitter. I have very strong feelings about this, and I am speaking on behalf of the current valedictorian class and past classes with high numbers of students winning this award, as well as future classes that may be subject to slander on their earnings of this award. The new policy is now using ACT scores as the reigning factor in deciding who wins valedictorian. In my complete opinion, that is not the way to shrink the number of winners. In my opinion, shrinking the number of students who have worked their entire careers has no purpose. The only argument I've seen for it is that it makes, quote, graduation too long and waters down the award. But you have to realize that neither of those reasons are important enough to change the requirements of being a valedictorian. The fact is that this county has schools with 50-plus valedictorians, as well as over 100 in total, shows how well this county is succeeding academically. And a graduation is a ceremony that is supposed to recognize the 4 years that each class has worked towards finishing high school. So an extra 30 minutes for speeches isn't the reason to take away valedictorian from the students who have earned it. It was absolutely necessary for the number of valedictorians to be, if it was absolutely necessary for the number of valedictorians to be smaller than they have in the past, the ACT is not the way to go. First of all, there are students that may do very well in classroom environments but do not have the skill to handle tests like the ACT, the SAT, etc. That is also a reason that standardized testing is a problem. Then you have your students that focus on other things other than the ACT, as it isn't mandatory for every college that the student takes the ACT. These students may focus on their GPA, their SAT, or other important factors for taking the next step in their education, which could cause their ACT scores to fall. The ACT can be a determining factor, minimum score, but not used as the ultimate decider, i.e. highest ACT score wins the award, which is what we've done with this policy. My opinion for making the number of valedictorians smaller, and he says parentheses, please recognize I don't support the changing of the policy, would be using the strength of schedule, upper level classes versus lower level classes, not taking in the minimum number of not just taking the minimum number, of upper level classes, advanced honors, AP, IB, dual enrollment, but how many of those classes were taken by the students compared to the lower level classes, honors and no level classes. For example, if student A and student B both have the highest unweighted GPA in their class, but student A has taken all upper level classes, while student B has only taken the minimum amount of upper level classes required, student A wins the award outright. This is only a start and only one suggestion. There are many more ways to limit the number of valedictorians, but again, as I've stated beforehand, there are no big enough reasons to change the policy on the requirements for the award. All I ask is that you think about us before you think about yourselves. Think about how it makes us feel when you claim we are educated in a watered-down system. My class was a part of the school named #1 high school in the state 3 years running, #1 magnet school, and #5 high school in the country. If you think the 55 valedictorians in my class were educated in a watered-down system, I would have to ask you to stop and think about those rankings and see that it shows these students earned every bit of that valedictorian award. I've also attached just a little thing that says, sometimes the most brilliant and intelligent minds do not shine in standardized tests because they don't have standardized minds. Now, I'd kind of like to go back and talk about really going back to the crux of this and why we made the decision that this policy needed to be changed to begin with. And I would truly welcome some input from fellow board members if there's anything here that I might have missed. But to this young man's points, and to the best of my recollection for the 5 years that I've been on the board, the only things I've heard in relation to why we need to change this policy when we had already increased the rigor of it considerably in the last policy change a couple years ago was a couple of things. It was, first of all, that some people are of the opinion that we shouldn't have multiple valedictorians, that should be an honor that's just awarded to one. Well, even with the way we proposed the policy change, that's not going to happen because we have many students in the school system that are making perfect scores on their ACTs. Then there's also been the conversation about how long graduations take, I think also back to this young man's point. So I kind of focus on his point of take your minds off yourself and think about us. And I think about all of those parents of whether it was the 55 students at Central Magnet or the 18 at Stewart's Creek, 13 at Laverne, and I don't know the stats on the rest, but we've had multiple, I think, at every high school. And I think about those kids and how hard they've worked for those 4 years with and with a serious rigor that we've already got set in the policy. And now we're going to say to them, okay, Joe, you have the same as Amy. You've got a 4.0. You took X number of AP honors. You took X number of dual enrollment credits, and so you're both equal. So your cumulative GPA, or your cumulative ACT, is going to determine whether or not you get the valedictorian. I think we're contradicting ourselves because I go back to prior board meetings where we've had board members that have stated that they didn't think the ACT should be as big a component as our curriculum. So what we've done, in my opinion, and again, I welcome somebody to correct me if I've missed something here.
I'd like to address that. The ACT composite is the final. It's not the first thing. Everything that's currently in the policy, other than graduation with honors, is still in there. It goes back to if they got a 4.0, they've met the requirements of the number of advanced courses, 12. This is state policy. And the last thing is the last breaking, the last thing to differentiate is the composite. It's not the first thing.
Right, no.
Because,
I understand that.
quite frankly, I saw a few students when I was over at the Central Magnet Awards program who did not have a 4.0 and were not valedictorians,
Right.
but had high ACT.
Correct. And I understand that, Director, and thank you for that. But essentially what we did in the policy committee the other night was we made the decision and we adjusted the policy that if everything else is equal, that ACT score is going to be the deciding factor as to who gets valedictorian.
Right, but we would have, if that was, if we were looking at the number, here's where we get into an issue. If we were looking at the number of advanced courses they're taking, you know, some schools currently, you know, would not have the same amount of opportunities that others would. So we're going by what's board, I mean, state board policy to use that graduation with distinction.
Correct, which is rigor that we already had in the policy to begin with. So again, my point and my concern is that we've said in several conversations, including going back to the one where we had the student from a high school whose parents were upset and that we had an appeal about that met all of the other criteria for valedictorian, except for the one piece of the honors criteria that she didn't meet a certain benchmark score in one of the categories in the ACT. And the conversations we had about that were along the lines of all the things that this young lady did accomplish, which was huge.
It was.
It was impressive. She'd done dual enrollment courses, she had the equivalent of an associate's degree, and I think everybody on the board was in agreement, and my impression was that this was part of the driving factor behind taking a strong look at this policy. But in essence, what we've done with making the ACT score the final tiebreaker, that young lady wouldn't have gotten valedictorian to begin with because of her ACT score. And again, one of my points is our kids don't all test the same. And I want to just read a couple things of some input that I had from other people as well. So my point is, too, we took out the graduating with honors, which the primary difference in that and the graduating with distinction was those listed ACT scores, that you had to have a minimum of a 19 on the science and a 21 on the math. I don't have them in front of me. So I think by taking that out, it seems to me that we were saying we don't put that much value in those ACT scores because we pulled it out. But now we're turning around and making the final ACT
And I
score the
want to
final
address that. I
factor.
think what it was is when you hit the nail around the head, minimum, it was the minimum benchmark scores on there. I think that's the reason why they removed it. That was not, I mean, an 18 on the English portion, that's the minimum. And I think that's probably why that was taken out. At least I think that's what Dr. Martin had shared with us.
Okay. Well, again, I don't think anyone has really, truly to me, articulated really why we had to change the policy to begin with. I don't necessarily agree with the proposal that we've got to have one valedictorian, but I don't think that this is the right solution. I think, in my opinion, it was an easy fix. Let's get it done. Let's put it behind us. And that's doing a disservice to all of these students. And when I think about that ACT score, and I think about kids that don't test well, that are every bit as bright, and that young lady that we dealt with was a perfect example. Extremely bright. 4.0, all these honors classes, she struggled with the ACT. We've all known students and kids like that. Some of us have had our own. And the fact of the matter is, they can be just as smart and work just as hard as that kid next to them, but they're never going to make a 36 on the ACT. And I've had some significant feedback from administrators within the system pointing out some things as far as working day in and day out with kids in the ACT exams. And you'll see in one of the articles I attached, I think kind of speaks to that too, 15 reasons why standardized tests are worthless, is that one of the things is financial. A lot of those kids that score those perfect scores, the bottom line is their parents have money to give them extra tutoring. They have money to let them take the ACT 5 or 6 times, whereas we have parents out there economically that cannot do either of those things. So again, I just want to pose the question to this board and ask everybody to please think about it, because we need to remember that policy says this was the first reading of this policy. There still has to be a second reading. and a vote. So I'm just imploring, if you want to give input tonight, I would greatly appreciate it. But I also would ask that you think about this and you consider all of these factors before we just say, this is it. Best ACT score is going to be the tiebreaker, because I don't think that's the answer.
May I say something? I attended the SCORE convention that was at MTSU, and I believe that we received a report in our TSBA magazine that came out, and by far the students, they're all high school students that came to this convention, they all voted to go to the Latin system, and that's what they preferred. And we didn't even look into that to see if we could go to the Latin system, if that was an opportunity. To Ms. Moore's point, there are students that don't score well. If they do, the way the policy reads, if they score well in the 7th grade or the first time they take it, they don't have to take it again. And some of their school grades can suffer. But they would still, because of what they made on the ACT, be able to become valedictorian.
ACT is only going to be the tiebreaker. It's not going to have any effect on their grades if they don't.
No, I understand that, but even someone from our own staff, and I can't remember her name, she said over here when we had the review for the Laverne student, she said that the ACT was not an indication of knowledge. It's an indication of how well they're going to do in college. And I think that our parents want, valedictorian has always been, I'm 55 years old, valedictorian has always been by class rank and how your grades are in school.
I agree. Back when I was in school, we had one valedictorian, and it was the best student of the class. If you run a race, you only have one winner.
Right.
So where we get into all this participation trophies and all this kind of thing, let's go back to what the real meaning of valedictorian is. It's the best student of that school. And that's what we have to determine here.
I completely agree with the whole, don't give a trophy for participation, but that's not what this is about. Those 55 students at Central Magnet, and those 18 students at Stewart's Creek, and those 13 students at Laverne High School worked their tails off all 4 years. So now we're going to tell them, okay, you can, or the kids coming up on them, you can do all these same things. You can go through all that rigor. You can complete the graduation with distinction, which requires service hours, all these kind of things, and you can do all of those things. But if you can't make a perfect score on that ACT, you can forget about being valedictorian. To me, that's deflating and discouraging, and it's going to take away a lot of motivation from kids we've got out there that are working hard towards getting that designation.
Now, keep in mind, it's not a perfect score. It could be.
But in most schools,
it's
it's
the
going to
highest
be.
score.
I understand. So 36, 35, but, you know.
Well, I don't think some of our valedictorians had a 36 or 35 throughout the district, but they had high score.
Right.
The highest.
Good.
I think we've already demeaned it in some parents' eyes, because I had a parent contact me through email saying that their child was not accepted into a school, and because we did award too many valedictorians. They did not recognize that student as a valedictorian. So there's other sides of this we have to consider.
Mr. Young, to that point, I, in the past few days, have contacted over 20 universities. There were 2 of them that actually give out awards for the actual designation of valedictorian. The majority of all the colleges are going to be based on the GPA and the ACT or the SAT. So to me, we're saying, okay, well, we had one student that didn't get a $1,500 scholarship, but if we pull it from 50 others at Central Magnet or 10 others at Laverne, if there was a valedictorian scholarship out there, they don't stand a chance anymore at all. It's this one university. No one has been able to show me, nor have I found through all the calls that I've made, any other universities that are taking the position that if they do give an award for valedictorian, which is very rare, that they would not do so because there was more than one valedictorian at that school. There's been this one isolated incident. So, again, we're looking at the very minority. We're not looking at how it impacts the larger group.
So share with us, what is your opinion of a valedictorian? What requirements should they meet?
Well, I think the policy that we had in place had a great deal of rigor, and I'm not sure, I mean, if people are of the mind that we need to reduce it, I don't necessarily disagree with that. I don't have a problem at all putting more rigor into it. I just don't think that the ACT score is the appropriate way to do it.
So what is your way of doing it?
Well, that's one of the things that I had hoped that we could discuss more at the policy meeting the other night, and that people might give some thoughts and some insight, because to me that's what we're supposed to do in a policy meeting, not just accept what's put in front of us, which is kind of how I felt like it went down. I'm more than happy to do some more research. I mean, I think if we were to do a weighting, and there are software systems out there, there are things that can be done, that if we give all those certain designation points to honors, AP and all that, and you want to come out with, even if you have to do it down to a
Quality
thousandth of a
points.
point.
Yeah, quality points. Now,
Exactly.
and I want to speak on GPA, okay? Now, and I can assure you this is common. A 4.0 in Rutherford County is not the same as a 4.0 in Jackson County. It's not the same as a 4.0 in Maryville. I mean, it can shift a lot there. An A, which you get 4 quality points. My point being is the GPA, you're right on a little bit of this. On the ACT, as far as the colleges are concerned, they do not, I mean, they don't weigh the valedictorian as heavily as they weigh an ACT or an SAT. And my concern with the GPA, of course, we do set it at a 4.0. That's part of it. My concern is GPAs are different. They're totally different. Now, could we add additional requirements as far as advanced courses? That could be something. Mm-hmm.
Well, and I think as long as those, and again, we had it in the policy, as long as those GPAs, how we assess them, first of all, I don't think it matters what other schools are doing. I think what we have to do is what's best for Rutherford County, and we have so many more high schools than other counties in such a variety. And that's another thing that this article even speaks to about standardized testing is, it talks about, let me see if I can find it. Yeah. It says if a student scores well on a test, then it's assumed that they know the material, which I think is part of what was discussed last night. And when you talk about standardized tests and test anxiety and different issues that all of us face, and faced with things like that, it's not the same. And again, I just don't think should be the deciding factor.
One of the things on standardized tests, these are nationally normed tests, whereas the 10-ready tests that we give within our classroom, these are criterion reference tests, where we're measuring them on the amount of knowledge they gain over a specific instructional section. But the norm reference test, it doesn't matter if I'm in Tennessee or I'm in California. We're being measured the same.
But I'm being measured on my test-taking abilities, not necessarily my smarts or my knowledge.
That's a qualitative methodology that's hard to put into quantify.
It is, which I would think would be all the more reason why it doesn't make sense for that.
No, I was talking about your test-taking abilities.
Right.
Did we not used to give half a point for advanced placement?
We do get additional points for, not quality points, we do give additional points for advanced honors, AP, IB.
So then how does
For the
everyone
GPAs.
how does everyone end up with a 4.0?
How does everyone in with a 4.0? They all have taken the same courses and getting A's in them.
Well, and of
But
course,
if you get extra points for taking the IB
so if
or
you-
the honors classes,
Exactly.
you would think someone would have a 4.5 or something like that.
Well, now keep in mind, there's more than, a lot of seniors take IB and AP. I mean, Central Magnet is a good example. I think they start taking theirs and they do well. And if you get an A and you get an additional 5 points, you both have 105. There's no separation. I mean, that's in our policy where how many points are given. And it's based, once again, it's based back on state board policy. How many points that we can give for making a certain, grade in a particular course. Whatever, whether it be honors, advanced honors, AP.
But if someone just has 100 and someone else has a 100.5, that would be the top student.
Well, if one of them, if they both
you're
got
gonna
100
average
in the
those
same
into it.
class, they would both have 105. You see what I'm saying?
Well, there needs to be some kind of differentiation from that, because just like the student from Laverne, she had a 4.0 of all advanced classes. And she graduated with an associate's degree. She had more hours than all the ones that got to walk the stage.
Right, and I think we have had 4.0 students, not very often, but you can have 4.0 students there that goes back that didn't meet the minimum requirements on the ACT. I mean, that's something that was adopted a long time ago here, I guess. And then the only solution, as we're proposing, if you're not staying with the ACT as and keep in mind, the ACT is not the first thing. That's the last
It's the
thing.
tiebreaker.
The only solution would be to require, and you can do that, you have to follow the minimum of what the state board policy says, but we can add to the number of courses they take. Is that not correct?
That is correct, and yes, that's correct.
Very succinct, Ms. Page, that's what I like about it. So we could add additional courses, and nothing says we can't still end up with multiple valedictorians.
Right.
And nothing says that we can't end up with multiple valedictorians if they make a perfect score on ACT and have a 4.0. I think if Dr. Martin said out of the 55, there still would have been like 13 or 14 at Central Magnet.
No, 5. It's
5? Was it 5?
She may have meant 13 or 14 across the system, maybe, because there were perfect scores at other high schools as well. But again, going back to the comment about it being benchmarked earlier on, we stripped that out of the policy the other night. We took out that honors criteria. So where we're standing right now is the only ACT criteria is that tiebreaker, that if all else is equal, and that's basically what was said, then how high your ACT score is going to determine whether or not you're the valedictorian.
But we're still going back to, it's not the ACT. If you really want to up the rigor of it, if that's the whole purpose, and that should be the whole purpose.
Absolutely.
Because as Dr. Martin had explained, research has shown that the more rigorous coursework that you take, the better you're going to do on any norm reference test.
I don't necessarily agree with that because, again, different children have different
you're not
test
disagreeing with
taking.
me. You're disagreeing with a lot of people who've done research on it, so it don't bother. I mean, I'm not offended by it, but I understand where you're coming from. The only way to really make, if you want to increase, if the point of it is to increase the rigor, then the other thing would be, and instead of using that last thing as a tiebreaker, go back to how many advanced classes have you taken?
And I think that would be a much better solution. Because as it stands now, if you've got, whether it's 50 kids at Central Magnet or 10 at Laverne or what have you, if they've all taken the exact same number of advanced honors, dual enrollment, whatever those are, and met those minimum requirements for graduation with distinction, and all else is the same, then we're telling them you can achieve all of that, but if you don't have the best ACT score, and again, I just simply do not think that that's the answer.
I have a question, Ms. Page, for clarification. At the policy meeting, committee meeting, which was, we have educators, former educators, I mean, this is not just a board decision, this is other people participate in that committee. Did we not remove the honors component because it was redundant, because in order to graduate with distinction, you have to meet the honors requirement?
That's correct. You have to meet those ACT benchmarks. In addition, by having a tiebreaker be the highest ACT, it almost makes that qualification moot as well, since we would expect our students to have surpassed those benchmarks.
Well, we would expect, or is it required, because it doesn't actually read that way anymore, does it?
The graduating with honors would not be expressed in the policy anymore. That's correct.
And just, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I would just like to say to the letter for the young man, because when the students reach out, I mean, that speaks volumes to me. And I wish he would have communicated to the entire board so we would know and be able to interact and have an exchange with that student. But in no way, shape, or form did my vote, or did I understand that our policy committee voted because it was watered down or we didn't want to attend long speeches. I attended 5 graduations. Some were 2.5 hours, MTSU, Eagleville, and I spent a great bit of my time doing so. And I enjoyed every single speech. I enjoyed the opportunity to see those students cross that stage. There is nothing quite like it. And you sit in the stands, it's one thing, but you sit on that stage and you see the joy that these kids and the excitement and the gratitude. I would never want to be associated with a situation that would indicate that we have diminished the accomplishments of our students. And so for this young man or student, if he's watching, or if you can convey that to him, Ms. Moore, from my perspective, it was not my understanding that we addressed it that way, nor have we made a decision on a policy based on our desire or our need or what's in our best interest. I unlike you, have heard that there's several different universities, and I'll provide that information next time, that do recognize valedictorians. And by having so many, it was limiting the impact that our high achieving, not that they aren't all high achievers, but our highest achieving students were being impacted. And, I know my children go to Riverdale and they do ACT prep. I mean, they prep in freshman year, sophomore year. That's something that the district, I believe, affords our students. So regardless of the demographic, we had the Atlas program. Ms. Snell was here and spoke to the homeless students in our community. We have over 1,200 homeless students in our schools, every school except one. I mean, I think that carries a lot of weight. So demographics matter, yes, but our students are being educated and facilitating these ACT programs. I think we can do a better job, but I think just like you said a minute ago, we are unique. Our district is unique, and we can look at the demographics that are compiled across the United States, but let's focus on Rutherford County. What are we offering our students, their opportunity to ACT testing, their opportunity to ACT prep, and building in a rigor? I'm not sure that the ACT is the proper way, but it's the best solution that the committee could come up with, and I've yet to hear something that is equally productive or at least gets us going in the right direction. So I'm upset to hear that our students would think for a second that we're making a decision predicated on our convenience, because that could not be farther from the truth. And if that's been conveyed, I am deeply sorry, and we need to do a better job of communicating that to our students. So.
Any other discussion?
A couple of things, Mr. Chairman. I guess for the director, we had a very interesting meeting here last night, an educational meeting, really. I think we had 15 or 16 commissioners of the 21 in the room, which is rare. And for a health and ed meeting, and Rhonda Allen did her usual great job. There were some things decided during that, and I was just wondering, are we going to have I assume, a response to that at some time
Yes, sir.
in the future?
Yes, sir.
Because it was on the agenda tonight, and we didn't do anything. So
Wasn't it, we're waiting to get some updates.
That's fine.
Some numbers.
That's fine.
We'll be presenting it to you then.
I want to say something, too, about the evaluation process, and that is that I don't know that we've had a director, and I'm an old man, I've been keeping up pretty good over the years, and I don't know that we've had anybody, really, that has on balance done a better job than Mr. Spurlock did, and Mr. Lee and Mr. Sandvik last night also did an excellent job. But this director has had to do a number of things, and all added together in the last few months, perhaps the busiest year that I've ever seen a director have.
It was busy, but let me tell you, it's fast.
Well, maybe so. He's hired so many people and for principalships and new schools and so forth, and we had town hall meetings. How many did we have? 8?
Evans, 9.
9. I went to 4 of them. Our staff did a great job. The director did a great job, and I might point out just the obvious thing here. That didn't have to be done at all. I don't ever remember it being done before, but it was, and it really brought our communities, I think, involved in that, and our staff did wonderfully. And We've had to rezone before. I've played a small part in that, but this last one was the largest rezoning, we'll call it a project, I guess, that this county has ever seen. It was massive, and it's not over yet. We still haven't, and we will in June, go over some appeals and look at it one more time. But all that had to be organized. And I think our director has done a really fine job. He does have one major flaw, and this is big, just one. He is absolutely unable to tell you when it's going to snow or how much. Other than that, he's done fine.
Oh, man.
Well, my congratulations on the evaluation, Mr. Director.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Jordan. Anybody else? I've got one thing on the evaluation. If you are interested, make an appointment with Spurlock and go over with your evaluation with him. He'll be happy to meet with you. So consider that. And anything else? We're adjourned.